Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
When I thought I was going away and I wasn't going to see Carlito again, I thought, hey, what kind of letters would I write to him? What kind of advice would I give?
Definitely go do it. Learn another language.
I think I would have invested differently.
I would have dated more.
I wish I hadn't really been so focused on conventional medicine.
I learned to wear a little bit of a mask.
I would say really disbelieve the mainstream. They're bullshitters. They're bullshitting.
Nice. Everyone who's speaking the loudest doesn't mean they actually know more.
Know your worth.
It's possible that you could get there on your own, but more likely than not, you need a partner. And particularly if you're Black, you need a partner.
Don't shortchange yourself.
Auntie Bevy, you're the same person at law school that you are at home.
All sorts of people can be wonderful, but I have been surprised at the number of supposedly progressive white liberals who have let me down. And conversely, I have gotten some of the best help from what Pastor Herman calls unlikely allies.
Sometimes you're like a Ferrari that you put a brake on. You don't always have to put the brakes on.
I don't know. This is not the end of your story.
Hey guys, it's Carlos Watson. We're back with another edition of Watson Stronger Together.
I'm Beverly.
And I'm Carolyn.
Guys, so I want to talk a little bit about lessons we would give to our younger selves. And I'm hoping the conversation won't be filled with cliches.
Yeah.
I assume it won't be with us. You know, I had that experience when I thought I was going away and I wasn't going to see Carlito again. I thought, hey, what kind of letters would I write to him? What kind of advice would I give him, or just give anyone who's younger? And so I guess I'll start with you guys. Like, Carol, if you were talking to Carolyn, she's about to enter Hampton. It's the late 80s. And
I love it, I love it, I love it.
For those who don't know, I do think Hampton may be the second most beautiful campus in the U.S.
Home by the sea. Wait, who's number one?
Pepperdine in Malibu, California.
I haven't been there, but Hampton is beautiful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Loved it, every minute of it.
Yeah. So what advice would you give your younger self? What would you say to her if you were having a real conversation, no one else is around, you're not stressed, you're not worried, you're not trying to perform for anyone, you're just telling her, here's what I hope you'll think about?
Great question. I'd say know your worth, know and walk in your worth and in your value. I would say don't shortchange yourself. It's funny, I met people when they went to college and they were like, and it was guys actually. I came to Hampton, if I came to college to find my wife, and I was just like, what? Like that was crazy because mom and dad didn't get married till older. And then some people who came to college not thinking they would have made it this far just because life had been so hard for them in their neighborhoods. I would have said to give people a chance, relationships a chance, and try it. I would have dated more, I think. I dated in college and after college, but I think I was kind of afraid and, also just wanted the perfect person. You gave me advice, actually, before I went off to school, and you said, don't date anyone that you can't see yourself marrying. And I stuck to that, actually. And I think that was good advice.
No, you don't.
In a way I do.
Okay.
But I'd also say, so part of me was also like one person at a time, and it just felt like they just had to have everything all together. And, in college, I didn't need to have everything all together. So I would have definitely, dated more. I would have, I wish my younger person, I would tell them to save, right?
Oh, wow.
I knew about tithing because church and God is important to me. So I always tithe 10%, but I didn't know about saving, investing 10% or more, right? And so I would have definitely had my told my younger person that. I'd also not be so, serious is not the word, because I've always been like carefree and jovial and everything.
Joie de vie.
But I think this is not the end of your story. You don't have to do it perfectly right here and right now. So something with, trust yourself, walk in your strength, walk in your truth, your voice.
See, I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that. I don't see you as someone who is voiceless. And maybe I'm not saying it completely right. I mean, I don't want to kind of talk past the other.
She's always been feisty. You are a feisty person. I don't think you have ever lost that.
Right.
But I can imagine in certain scenarios where you're not your fully authentic self. That we wear the mask.
Do we ever get to be our fully authentic selves?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Oh, you do think we get to?
I get to do it with a lot of people who I love. Absolutely.
And people who you feel safe with.
I have a lot of communities and places where I am fully.
I don't know. I think you have kind of a tough time getting to be your full self. Like, unless you come from a ton of money or you're super famous, like you have a tough time getting to do what you want.
I think we're talking about something different.
Okay.
I'm talking about at Georgetown Christian Fellowship. I was fully myself with people of different nationalities, races. We were rooted in our love for God. So I didn't want to.
That brought you to a different level.
But I would say then to my younger self, continue to see the world with that fresh perspective, that optimism, and that hope. That
even when obstacles come.
Absolutely.
Even when you don't have this community around you. Because I think that's what it is. It's not that, that's brand new, but I think growing up in our family, we did have support. So we had mom, dad, we had each other, right? And so I think there was some form of support that was just embedded with where we were and who we were, right? At Hampton, my family became those people who, became just like my really good friends, right? And just like my rock. And I also had my Christian community, right? And so that's there. But when you graduate, right? And everyone says, oh, college is gonna be the best years of your life and blah, blah, right? But it is something when you disperse and go into your own worlds. Everyone goes out, literally all over the world, and you're kind of by yourself. You're that lone person. And sometimes you can have a voice, and especially if you land where somebody else is and you're like, hey, I see you, okay, you keep on going. But when you're just the only, and you see that there are already cliques or there are already groups that are together. I don't know. It's not always easy.
What are two changes that would have meaningfully changed your life trajectory? Like, if you could go back and you make two different decisions, what are two different decisions where those two different decisions are impactful enough that you fundamentally would be living a different life today?
Not saying I would do it, but and also just because it's easy to kind of hindsight 2020 and be like, oh, I wish I did that, and you don't know how it turned out. But fundamentally, dating more, I would have done that, and I think that would have changed. The second thing was, in college, I was dating somebody, and like right after college, who wanted to get married. If I would have gotten married then, to me, I was like, hell no, like that's way too early. I was just like, our older sister got married early, and I was like, no, but that's her, and so she knew what she was doing, and and I was just like, I don't even know what I want to do, right? My world would fundamentally be different if I had gotten married at 22, 23.
Better or for worse?
I don't know. Because I don't know if I I probably still could have gone and gotten a PhD, right? But I don't think I would have moved to live in Brazil, right? I wouldn't have moved to California to start Achieva with you.
Right.
I wouldn't have, I probably...
You wouldn't have lived with me.
Oh my God.
When I was in law school, you were my best roommate. I've always loved you as a roommate.
So I think, I don't know, but I just was not ready. That was just like, no way.
Right. Bev, what about you? What two things that could have meaningfully altered your trajectory and would mean that you were living a very different life?
So I think like Carolyn, I would say as fearless as I was on my professional side, to be able to risk and explore and go beyond my comfort zone, I would have done that on my personal side. And I had the benefit of, I had a lot of friends. So I had a lot of rich and deep relationships. But like the more intimate ones were probably, it was a little more scary. And so I wasn't as fearless there. I was in the comfort zone of having friends and friends who I cared about deeply, who cared about me. So I got that, like, endorphins. But if I thought that sort of having a partner was important, I think being as fearless in my personal side as in my professional side. So I'd say that as one.
Okay.
Number two, I am still trying to figure out like where it happened. I might just be thinking of something right now.
Okay.
I am, as my little niece would say, Auntie Bevy, you're the same person at like law school that you are at home. You're loud, you laugh. And she's like, that was so amazing. I just thought you'd be someone different. But when I brought her to my law school reunion, and that's true. But I think there's sometimes, as we were doing this exercise in presentation skills, that the guy said, well, sometimes you're like a Ferrari that you put a brake on and like let yourself go, like totally let yourself go. And I remember when he said that, I was sort of doing that because I was one of the leaders and I didn't want to totally overshadow everyone else as we were doing these sort of impromptu exercises. I'm very comfortable do that. But I sometimes do mute or put a brake on. And it's interesting, I'm like, I don't even know sort of why or when, and it sounds funny,
Or
but
how?
Well, then I think it's also, I went from this very diverse experimental elementary school to this crazy art school for junior high to a very conservative prep school. At that conservative prep school, I think I learned to wear a little bit of a mask because I wasn't totally seen. I was still bright and bubbling, had friends, but I wasn't the same. So I think that set a stage for, I'm comfortable in lots of different places, but I wonder if that's where I learned how to put the brakes on so that you like fit in. So I might say to that younger self, you don't always have to put the brakes on, but that's also about making sure everyone else feels okay, right?
Feels included.
Feels included. You're not outshining anyone. You have to make sure, and I think that's important, right? Because that's good community building skills, is that everyone can be heard and no one sort of dominating. So I think I do that.
What about you, Carlos?
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah. I think my number one message probably would be very intentionally find a wonderful partner, both someone you can be a great partner to and who can be a great partner and to you back, who you love, who you enjoy, spend time with through thick and thin. Really prioritize that and realize that you probably are missing some skills, including compromise skills, that you're going to need to really make that work.
That's all of our number one.
I know.
That's
Isn't that
actually
funny?
really wild.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's in a different way.
Yeah.
But that's all of our number ones.
But for each other, yeah. Because I think that I really had a lot of ambition and thought that I needed to work hard and be focused and do all these other things. But the reality is, it's possible that you could get there on your own, but more likely than not, you need a partner. You need a really good partner, and particularly if you're Black, you need a partner. And candidly, I dated and lived with people who were Black, who were white, who were Asian, Latino, lots of other things. And I'm sure that the people who are tough enough and care enough and do that come in all shapes and sizes and what have you. And you're almost always going to be surprised some of the time, right? But I wonder if I had known more what I know now, particularly in the last couple of years, if I wouldn't have focused more of my search on a Black wife. I'm not saying every Black woman's right for me. I'm not saying I'm right for every Black woman. I'm not saying that I would ignore someone who was white or Asian or Latino or something else. But I think I would have, again, when I was writing to Carlito, I was saying, if you only hear one thing, find the right partner that you can be a great partner to, it can be a great partner to you, and really focus on that and be really thoughtful if your society ends up anything like mine in terms of who is likely to be able to actually do that. Not just theoretically, but actually. So that's one. And then the other one is, I would say, don't believe mass media. Not just on our legal system, but on medicine. Like, I think back about Mom, and I wish I hadn't really been so focused on conventional medicine, because I think it fails a lot of people, and I think ultimately it failed her. And I think that there probably were, I don't know for sure, but there may have been some alternatives that could have made a difference. But they would have come across to the mainstream as radical at the time, what have you. But I actually...
Radical or hokey?
Radical, hokey, kooky, wrong, offbeat.
And although we had an uncle who did alternative medicine, and we had lots, and aunts who did microbiotic, like in the 80s, right?
Macrobiotic, and so, but those would be the two things. I would say really disbelieve the mainstream. I not completely, not just like they're bullshitters, they're bullshitting, they're doing what is in the interest of a handful of people, and that's the reality of it. And so just be super thoughtful before you buy into it.
Something similar, maybe not exactly that, but I actually remember sort of getting a glimpse of this in college. But I remember this environmental seminar, and like it felt like everyone seemed like they knew everything else. And I was going to the professor saying I was going to drop it. He's like, they don't know anything more than you. They just know how to BS more. It's like, just BS more.
I remember I had that too.
And so it's, and again, you want to be authentic. You want to feel like you have, 150% to really to speak clearly and like loudly. And so recognize that everyone who's speaking the loudest doesn't mean they actually know more. It's just that they're speaking loudly. So,
right.
Sort of the same thing with the media.
But again, really taking what will come across as chances if you are living a middle-class mainstream life could make you more money, could give you better health, could give you a better partner, could allow you to remain free. And so I think those would be a couple of the lessons I would say to my younger self that would be near the top. What else would you have done more of? So sometimes people talk about regrets and those are the only lessons, but sometimes there's also stuff that you really enjoyed and that if you knew you were going to enjoy it that much, you would have done more of it.
I had some wonderful friendships and just relationships. And I remember even in law school, I would meet people like my third year. I'm like, oh my gosh, you were here. And I'm only meeting you now. And like these like soul connections sometimes. So I would continue to just be curious about people and maybe prioritize getting to know them and spending that time.
Carolyn, what did you do that you did well and you would tell yourself, I got this right, I would definitely do this again?
The traveling. I would do the traveling and do more. I agree with Bev in terms of doing it in a study abroad exchange program. I didn't do it in college. I was gonna do Spain and they didn't give me enough money. And so I was like, okay, but I ended up doing Brazil later on and loved it. So I would definitely tell my younger self, go do it, right? Learn another language. Yeah, I think the traveling.
I really enjoyed sports, and that has been good to me. I've had so many fun times playing pickup basketball, not only here, but around the world. I've met friends. I just love just playing, period. I love trash talking. I love people trash talking back. And, I've played in probably 25 or 30 countries, I think. I've played in Ghana and France and Brazil and Iceland and so many places. And I've always ended up meeting people, which has been great. And so I would have done more of that. And I probably would have taken sports, even though I was in a bad car accident and couldn't walk for 3 years and have a right leg that's always been compromised, because I would have actually I would have taken training even more seriously, because I think I could have been.
Afterwards?
Yeah, I think I would have.
Like in college?
Yeah, I think I would have, and even in high school, I think I would have trained differently. I think I would have built up my leg and my legs, and I would have,
train just so that you can walk better and
train
exercise
so
better.
you walk better, jump better, run better. I would have turned weakness into strength.
Okay.
And I would have. I would have practiced more at some of the games that I loved, so that I could have played even better in high school and played in college and who knows what else. So just given the degree to which I enjoyed it, and given the degree to which I've seen people who would seem unlikely to have made it to the pros make it to the pros, and knowing some of those stories, I'm sure we don't know all of them, I think I would have leaned into it even more.
I like that.
And hopefully that would have been a good thing.
You gonna say that?
No, I'm saying it actually depends on the different seasons, because like in college, I would have been a radio person, actually.
Oh,
I
you would have been great, right? You interned at a radio
yes,
station.
I loved Hampton so much. I would have been one of those, you know how you show people around school and you're orientation and you're showing them, you're doing, like I was a student leader and in student government, but just in terms of recruiting new people and just dating more than one person.
Yeah.
I think as women, at least I was just kind of taught like just one at a time and just like see, but I did dating more than one person right before I got married. And that to me was such a game changer because I was able to like, I was like, I like this about someone, I don't like this. And the comparison was really interesting.
Options are such a powerful thing in this world, whether they're financial options, dating options, school options, work options, friend options.
Oh, I like that.
And so that's interesting.
I have one other thing though I would do.
What's that?
Act. So I went to the School for the Arts in like from 7th to 9th. And I did a little bit of it at Ransom in high school. I tried out for a play with my good friend Sarah Van Steenberg. That's actually how we connected. But it had a lot of curse at Georgetown. It had a lot of curse words in it. So I said, "Excuse me, can I please not say the curse word?" Then they looked at me, they were like, whatever.
Right.
And so I didn't get that part. That was freshman year. And so, but I would have done that more because there is such, absolutely. And so almost it's that creative side. And I tapped into it when maybe you're doing entrepreneurship or you're helping a new client think bigger and better. But there is something about being on the stage and acting that I wish I would have done more of. Yeah.
I think I would have invested differently. I think we lived in the area that's seen the greatest wealth creation arguably in mankind history. And I think a bunch of simple investments in public stocks and just putting the money in there and holding it could have generated, transformative amounts. And so I think I would have done that. I think I would have, probably been more, one of the things I don't think they say, Michael, very much is some of the people, I think, all sorts of people can be wonderful, but I have been surprised at the number of supposedly progressive white liberals who have let me down. And conversely, I have gotten some of the best help from what Pastor Herman calls unlikely allies, people who politically are seen as conservative or what have you. And even though Dad said versions of that growing up, he didn't say it that sharply. And I think the degree to which I have found many white liberals to be, even some of the most famous ones, to be really unreliable and not steadfast, I think I didn't appreciate that. And I think if I were speaking to my younger self, I'd be super blunt about that. I'd be like, don't count on them. Like maybe they'll show up, maybe they won't.
I mean, before the storm, the hurricane, the nightmare happened, You said, if anything happened to me, here's the list of people to call.
I know.
Not one of those people were by your side.
Not one
and
of
the
those
folks
people.
the people that might not have been on your top 10, 15 list.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like turns your,
So
your
I
head
also
around.
I got the friendship thing wrong. I would say mentors hit the door, ex-girlfriends hit the door, supposed best friends hit the door, and then again, very interestingly, there were people like Karen Johnson, like Nehemiah, like Gary Ireland, like who did show up, right? And
or
so
even newer friends, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Emily Jennings that showed up.
Or think about David Robinson, the professor at Duke. I mean, he didn't know me from Adam, and the level of honesty and truth in him just saying you're getting railroaded, you're getting scred, like.
And like writing a letter to the court about
Right.
how biased the judge was,
And
without
unprompted.
any unprompted.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just,
Unprompted.
it was probably just so egregious
yeah.
to what he has experienced as a business professor.
But the other thing I would say,
And as an expert,
Yeah.
not just as a business professional, but as an expert.
in this
in
area of
startups.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Startups.
But the other thing I would say is I underestimated the degree to which jealousy and people rooting for you to go down exists. Because I'm not someone who roots for people to go down. Even people who I don't like or I don't get on with, like that's just never been a way that I'm gonna like use my time, my spirit, my energy. I'm not gonna use it rooting for that. You may not be the person I'm looking to elevate, but I'm not gonna spend it. But the degree to which people rooted, and as part of a trial, they show you the emails and the text from other people. So you were able to see unvarnished what people who supposedly were your friends, supposedly were your investors, your board members, what they supposedly were saying. And it's
Sobering.
It's very sobering. And because we didn't come from that, because that's not how mom and dad natively
moved.
operated or
Yeah.
behaved, just in general,
Right.
not just with us, but just in general. And so that would be another one of the lessons. I would say, because you come from people who generally are warm and optimistic and positive and honestly God-fearing, and so
Yeah.
there's also something in that, you need to be aware that for a lot of people, they like gossip. They like seeing people get torn down. And like, don't underestimate
What's
the
it
degree
called?
to which-
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. And then people, by the way, don't even know what you mean by mindset, because what you're saying in part is we were on food stamps at various points.
It's not like we had everything,
But our mom's choice, to some extent dad's choice, certainly grandma's choice was, I may not have a lot,
but we have each other, and there's a lot of richness that we do have.
and we could have a lot less.
Yeah.
And with the clarity that even if this doesn't feel to you guys like we have a lot, we're really clear what really having.
Because it was also resourcefulness.
Right.
It's not like not having the funds. I did this Clifford Strengths, and it talked about one of the strengths is a ranger, and you sort of figure out how to use resources the most effectively. And so resourcefulness was mommy's like middle name. And so we wanted to study abroad. We didn't have money, or we wanted to go visit my sister in Germany. We were able to get courier tickets for like $200 when they usually were $1,000.
Yeah.
So you find ways to do things, and the community. Sometimes, the check doesn't last enough until the end of the month. Do you have someone in your community that you could write a post-dated check to, and they could give you the money?
Mr. Nathan.
Mr. Nathan.
Oh my gosh.
Mr.
Ina
Nathan
Roper.
did that for mom. And so
Yeah.
that vision of even seeing mom around the kitchen table at 6 a.m. in the morning when you happened to wake up and she was praying over the bills because there wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we ever really felt lack, because we had each other, right?
And I think more than just each other, I think if you lose hope
Yeah.
and if you start to believe that it's not going well today and it doesn't feel like there's a path to change,
Yeah.
then I think that also, I'm sure,
Well,
hurts you.
Well, that modeling of positivity, of a can-do spirit. Rosie T had a can-do spirit. And you might not know how to do it, but you can figure it out. You can get the resources.
plan,
and so
work it out.
that vision and understanding, that mindset, that way to be, I think that actually...
They actually shared that. So mom and dad, we talk sometimes about the things that they didn't share, but I think they shared a kindness. I think they shared a love of people. I think they shared a global nature, and they shared a be creative, be resourceful, make a way out of no way mentality. I think they both were people who didn't assume that a shut door meant absolutely no. Right. Yeah. That a shut door didn't necessarily mean a closed door.
And saying that, you know, and while they gave that wealth of experience, we didn't really have the financial literacy. So one of the things I would have told my younger self is pay off your student loans with the bonus that you got from the law firm. And instead, I don't even know what I did with that money, but I was paying my undergrad loans.
See, I would have told you to buy stocks in the most interesting companies.
You would have?
Yeah.
Because, instead of paying off my hundreds of $1,000s.
Yeah. Because literally some of these companies, I mean, think about all these companies that are worth $1 trillion today, and that when you first encountered them, they were worth less than $1 billion. Yeah. Right? That means that they've gone up 1,000x. Yeah. Literally, since we've lived here, since you started school here.
Wow. But if we had figured it out,
but to some extent, someone would argue. If anyone was going to figure it out, we should. Like you live down the street from them. Yeah, you know what I mean? You actually use the products.
And then the question is, why don't you do it now? But I guess we have other things. But yes, and because it makes me think about how I did sort of leverage the funds. And yes, I got a financial advisor, but like part of what we were responsible for is supporting our parents, right? Who supported us. So buying them a car. And I remember the financial advisor was like, why in the heck would you buy your parents a car? And so they're like, they should be investing in you, not the other way around. I'm like, wait. You don't get it because you don't understand our community and how we roll. Right. So like, maybe we shouldn't have this relationship. But yeah. Those are all good things. Who gave you the best piece of advice, or who was? I'm sure you got good advice from a variety of people, but who is someone who gave you a good piece of advice, and what advice did they give you that you would pass on to a younger person?
My older sister, who said, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. That I think is a very old one, but I think very true. Said that specifically, not just in relationships, when it came to dating and everything, because like people will tell you who they are, right? Believe them the first time, right?
And what about you, Bev?
What I didn't embrace? Sorry, let me do another one, which I thought was a really good advice, and I am sorry I didn't do it. When I was 26, Dad told Bev and I that we should freeze our eggs, and I was just like, what are you talking about? And I thought that was being negative or pessimistic. And what are you talking about? I'm going to get married and I'm going to have my own kids.
That was really forward thinking.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
So I would have, he had a lot of good ones.
He did.
So I would have.
He was big on investing.
Yes.
If we had listened to his investment advice, we would have done well.
Yes. So I would have done that. And I have since passed it on to my friends who have done that. Just because you just never know. I was in a financial position where I could have done it. And so it would have made sense to go ahead and do it. But I was like, well, let me just trust him and da-da-da. And so I kind of didn't do that. But that 26-year-old one was like.
That was a good one. I have two ones. First, actually, our older sister too is, I remember one time someone made me angry. And I think I slammed the door. I did something like that.
Carolyn, why'd you make her angry?
And she said, Beverly, never let anyone make you that angry. You cannot let anyone change how you act and respond, because it's up to you. And I think that lesson is a great lesson for me. And sometimes I still sort of have to utilize that when sometimes someone tries to make you come out of your character, like whether you're at an airport and someone's really rude or they do something, or or frankly at court, right? And those prosecutors who like literally at first made me see red, and then actually what I had to do
these white privileged
Yeah.
prosecutors.
Who, like, one of them
these
started,
rich kids trust fund
that started
kids
laughing
who've never
when they
built anything themselves,
Yeah.
who they're
Racist to the core.
racist and whose racist parents showed up
Yeah.
at the court hearings, right?
Yeah.
These trust fund kids,
Yeah.
right?
And so I had to move back from the hatred and from the red that I was seeing, and I had to actually be in prayer. And then I also thought about, God, I'm just going to be praising you, because I was putting some heat towards them, some heat towards, may God make you suffer. And then I said, I almost ignored them. And because I recognized it was only hurting me, right? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is, I guess it's the flip side of paying off my loans early. I would have started saving early. And so I think that discipline of saving, I save, but you're sort of saving to do something, a
Right,
trip,
right.
something, and then it got depleted. And so what does it look like? Because it says, the compound interest, if you start when you're like 18, right? And even if it's like $100, pay cycle a month or whatever, millions of dollars that you would have. So I think the saving and investing is something that I would have done.
And realizing you could have even done that even when you were in school.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Like,
Because I did have a
right.
work study job and stuff like that. So,
Right.
yeah, those are the two things that I would have done.
You would have done differently.
Uh-huh.
Advice that I wish I had taken, or good advice that I got. Well, it was interesting hearing a comedian named Ida Rodriguez. She said, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And so I think there are times in which I was dealing with people who clearly were hurt, and I would have taken more of a step back and really tried to think about what's causing them to say this, or what's causing them to do this. Not that I can fix it, not
Right.
that I'm in charge of anyone other than myself, but I would have probably engaged with the situation differently. And so I've taken chances on employees, and I think I should not have, because I think I was able to both see their talent and see their trouble.
Right.
And I was able to not only see their trouble, right?
Right.
Because one of them in particular has never had a job longer than 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And I employed him for 8+ years, right?
Yeah. And he was particularly vocal, but not saying the truth, and not saying.
You're saying nicely. He lied.
Yeah.
He lied repeatedly
Yeah.
about.
But that was his 15 minutes of
that was
fame.
his 15 minutes. Yeah.
However, though, I want to challenge you.
Yeah.
Is that really the lesson, not to employ folks? Because I think
I think I wouldn't take a chance. I think you have to be humbler when you're dealing with people who are super troubled. The only thing you were in charge of is yourself. But Bev, this guy was black. This guy is now in his 60s. He's never kept a job anywhere else more than 2 years, 2, 3, 4 years, right? He's never kept a job more than that. I kept him employed for 8 years, right? I hired his sister. I hired his stepfather. I hired his kids. I wrote letters, and to see the things, and you and I both know that the New York Times would only let someone like that write an op-ed if it's a black guy writing about a black guy taking him down.
Yeah.
They would never let someone who's been fired get to write about the CEO of WeWork or the CEO of Uber or the CEO. They wouldn't let them do that. But here they gave this guy a microphone and treated him like he was credible,
Right.
when he's not even credible enough to get an interview with them. Like they
Yeah.
literally would not interview him for a job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I actually would say to black entrepreneurs and black CEOs, believe it or not, sometimes the most dangerous people
Are those?
can be some of your own, particularly some of them who are either mentally disturbed, like this guy, or who are insecure. Like those people are super dangerous. And so, there's a part of us that wants to give that person a chance even more,
Yeah.
right? As the kids of teachers and preachers, you feel called to help. I would just say, unless you are in a really rock solid place, run from those people, because they're, in my mind, they're the new Uncle Toms. Like they are just super dangerous, and they are dangerous precisely because people on the other side
say that validates
will
against
elevate them
Right.
and use them as like IEDs to blow up a good person.
That's a hard lesson.
But as you and I know, even harder is the hurricane and the nightmare.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And they weaponized him.
They did.
They did.
They weaponized him crazy, just in crazy ways, right?
Yeah.
And remember, they believe the BS because they want to, because it fits their narrative, right? I do think that in terms of actual coaching, if I was like really getting in there and like quietly whispering, first and foremost is find a great partner.
Yeah.
There are other things like work hard, be creative, be open, to some extent ignore conventional wisdom. But I would always be like, really be selective and thoughtful about who you engage with, and realize how people on the other side who don't have good intentions can weaponize certain people. And so don't be so quick to give those kinds of people a chance, because they can quickly be turned into an IED, right? Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap up on something more upbeat. All right, so look forward now and imagine yourselves at 100, giving advice to you where you are now. What do you think the 100-year-old version is gonna say to you today? And really try to go there. Really try to live this life out. You know, go there. This is 2071, 2072, right? So
your story's not written. So continue to engage with life, with hope, with love, with grace. Go forth, live, be present. I think that's one. And I think number two is when you go with God, you won't go wrong. And you might not see what's next, but if you go prayerfully, Mama used to say, go prayerfully and carefully, right? And so you go prayerfully and carefully in all you do, in making sure that Carlito's okay, in making sure that the vision, God will make, what is it? Your dream, God's dream will make room for you. And so what He has for you, no man can take away. And so I think that's actually something that I've learned, and even the storm helped to solidify the way we had to walk in truth, in grace, in love, in humility. And we had to walk even when we were tired. But God always gave us strength. And so I think that 100-year-old Bay will say, you got it, girl. You got it, girl. Keep going. God, your story's not over. He's got some good things in store. Don't give up. And continue to live fully, authentically.
I can't wait till you get here.
I
can't wait till you get here. Aww. And she'd also say, I'm really glad that you forgave, and continue to forgive. Continue to forgive those who've hurt you, those who disappointed you, because that could only help you and strengthen you, right? That's they talk about non-forgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. And keep on forgiving, baby. Keep on coming. Keep on coming. Keep on trusting God. He's got you.
I'm looking at a picture of Mom up there, and in so many ways I could hear her when you were saying, keep coming, babe. Keep coming, babe. So I imagine Rosie T as the version of my 100-year-old self.
And what music is playing as you approach your 100-year-old self?
Dun 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 dun.
That's so funny. I played the Rocky theme song for myself the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's kind of funny that you did that. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
What's your theme song, and what does your 100 self say to you?
Yeah. My 100-year-old self would say, I'm glad you've come to God, and I'm glad you got further on that path. And I know it took you a while, and I know that it wasn't even, but I'm glad. I think my 100-year-old self would say, I know you had to wrestle with how to become a good compromiser, and I'm glad that you learned a lot about that, not just in the agreement itself, but the approach and the energy and, Carolyn, as you called it, grace, and showing grace and giving grace. And then I think my 100-year-old self will say, I'm really glad that you reset how, what you were looking for in a partner, because I think you were looking in the wrong places. And I think that as you learned, and by the way, wrong places doesn't mean that people are bad, it just means that in terms of what you're articulating is what you want, it's not very likely to exist over there. It's more likely to exist over there. And I think the last thing is really, again, so grateful that you made it through, that God brought you through that hurricane, because for so many people, that could be the end of the story. The fact that you are healthy and positive and building and meeting new people, meeting positive new people, Ernie, Shy, other people who we're working with, is a treat, is a good thing, and is a blessing. And
that's the grace of God.
And the last piece I would say is, it took you a long time to learn how wrong the mainstream wisdom can be, and to really take a step back and to learn from the Frederick Douglasses and the Stokely Carmichaels, learn fully. I'm not saying I didn't know anything of that before, but really hear Angela Davis in a very different way than you had before. To hear President Trump in a broader and more grateful and appreciative way than I did. Very grateful to him. Always will be. Very grateful to the pardon czar. Always will be. Always will be. With great courage. I mean, that whole group there. Very grateful to everyone in that White House. Be careful about the medical advice you may get from conventional wisdom, and be careful about staying open-minded to true wellness and other things. And the same is true with your financial approach. And again, some of that is not just how do you build more, but like, what do you actually need, and need for what and why, and right? And there's all sorts of ways to think about it. So I think that my 100-year-old self will say, and we still got 50 years to go. So,
and what's the song that you're running into?
Two songs just ran by, and neither of which is probably perfect for this, but the first one was "Here Comes the Sun." Here comes the sun,
and I say
it's all right. So that one, and for some reason I just thought of, partially because I love her voice, Anita Baker's "You Bring Me Joy." For those of you who don't know, I think one of the 5 or 10 most beautiful voices I've ever heard. Yeah, what a beautiful voice.
Is Anita Baker?
Yeah, Anita Baker, yeah.
I must say, I feel incredibly blessed by you, and by our family. I think, this is what family's for. And I appreciate the ability to dream together, to think together, to reflect together. I feel like that's how we grow. And I'm looking forward to more growth and more fun with you guys.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good.
Yeah,
I think I'm loving some of the ideas for the podcast. I like the idea that we're gonna travel it.
Yeah.
Me too, to get to go to other areas actually, and just kind of embrace and have different conversations.
It's always nice to be in home base, but what do we see? What do we find? What did we get to explore when we're someplace new?
And maybe even do some with the audience.
Yeah.
I would love to do, couldn't you see doing live stuff?
Absolutely.
Going to Charlotte and Raleigh and Hampton and Miami and DC. I kind of want to do some stuff also, honestly, in, this may sound crazy, but in some small out of the way places. Like for some crazy reason, I want to do one in Montana.
I've never been to Montana.
I've never been to Montana either. Maybe that's part of why. I want to see like who shows up and who says, I've been listening to you guys and I've been excited about you guys coming.
Let us know where we should go.
Yes.
Please write. Let us know where we should go. This is all about a conversation. And it's about building community. And you're a part of it. So thank you for joining and listening. We'd love to hear your voice.
Yeah. One of you guys want to close us out? Who wants to close us out today?
I will. Just want to say again, this is Carolyn Watson.
This is Beverly Watson.
I'm Carlos Watson.
And we are the Watsons, stronger together.
Thank you for joining us.
I keep it bouncy, girls know they don't doubt me, yeah, they around me, yeah, they remind me,